Welcome back to Real Housewife Recaps. Today we're talking about Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 10, Episode 7, Santa Denise. I thought it was a pretty good episode, and I'm excited to get into it. Last week we're coming off of the psychic dinner at Erika's house, and we kicked this episode off at Kyle's house, where Kyle and Dorit get together. Kyle talks about that they have a friendship that's going to last a lifetime. Dorit to camera says, "Now Kyle appreciates our friendship, but the other night she told me to shut the F up." Then Kyle says the couples therapy thing was below the belt. Dorit to camera says if Kyle would just admit she's closer to Teddi, then there wouldn't be an issue. But the more she denies it, the more annoying it gets. And I think that's the root of the problem right there. I don't get what the big deal is about Kyle and Teddi having a close friendship. So what? Some people are closer to others. But I don't get why Kyle and Teddi deny it as well. It's very strange. Then we have Garcelle. She's not in the episode very much, unfortunately. I wish she was in here more. She's saying goodbye to her boys. She's talking about her very busy life shooting in Nashville. She's got 2 deals in development, so lots of big stuff coming her way. Then we go over to Rinna arriving at Kyle's, as well as Teddi and Erika. And Erika reveals that her feelings are still hurt by Kyle because of the good friends comment from the last episode, which was pretty crappy. Sutton arrives. There's weird flushing sounds put in by the editor. And they get ready to hit the road for Santa Barbara. We see that Denise is at work on the Bold and Beautiful, and she's meeting up with the ladies a little later. We see they're going to this rental property in Santa Barbara. The rental costs about $2,500 a night. So then the ladies decide to go wine tasting. They get on some Surreys, which are these funny golf cart looking bikes, and they pedal around. Then they go over to have some wine. So then it comes up about Denise, and Erika talks about having met Denise the other day and her mentioning that the kid, the talk in front of the kids kind of bothered her. Erika said they had a hooker at Thanksgiving. They talk about threesomes, and Erika talking about the kids says they already know if they haven't had one already. Denise arrives with the tequila. They FaceTime with Garcelle. Kyle talks about boring Denise. And I don't know. Let's talk about this for a second. So did this Denise thing. I really like Denise this season. I really do not care for Kyle this season. Kyle's taking these jabs. It's just ridiculous. But this kid thing is a little weird. I kind of see both sides. Denise thought she was just having a get-together at her house. The kids were clearly there. So, you just talk a little different when you're near kids. But then again, she should know what she's in for. She's on the Housewives. She invited everybody over. They were having cocktails. The conversation flies. Maybe you scoot the kids inside at that point. I don't know. Just a thought. So they go back to the rental house and see a beautiful sunset. And they end up meeting outside for a very fancy dinner. And Denise talks about the roles she's had in the past. Rinna asks, what's it like to shoot a 3-way? Erika to camera says, are we talking about threesomes? Thank God there are no children present. Tender ears. And Denise says it's uncomfortable. She explains that she was raised super Catholic. And Rinna asks, how will you feel when the girls see your work? Denise says, I hope to God they don't see it. They haven't seen it so far. Rinna talks about her girls reading her book when they were 11, where she talks about giving blowjobs. That's probably a bit young. So then Kyle says to Denise, I want to say sorry about the other night. It started with Dorit and me, and it grew, and I felt bad. Denise says, I was really taken aback. I didn't know where it was coming from. Kyle says, it was between Dorit and me. Everyone started chiming in, and I got defensive. So I think this is just an excuse. What do you expect? They are going to chime in. That's what they do. Kyle's not afraid to chime in. They all do it. So Denise says, we're a very opinionated group. And then Kyle brings up the glam squad thing again. And again, I'm so confused as to why Kyle all of a sudden has a huge problem with this. She says, I understand that you guys want to look good and beautiful, and that it was just a circumstantial thing. That's how I felt, and I didn't want it to become a thing, and I'm sorry. Again, bringing up the glam thing, I don't understand. Since when does Kyle not have glam? She's always dressed up and has her makeup done, as they all do, and as they should. Isn't that why we watch these shows? Like, as we sit in our sweatpants and stuff. Denise explains that she's hurt by Kyle's ice sculpture comment and explains that it's Eloise who actually wanted it, and they did it for her. Kyle says she wasn't aware, which, that's not Kyle's fault, I don't think. And then Denise just re-explains, I had you guys over to my house. My kids were there. And that she's never talked about threesomes with her children before. Sutton says, maybe when it's an adult party like that, just don't invite the kids. Denise says, it's my home, so I thought we'd have a wonderful night. Erika says, I just think it's a little naive. Yes, it was disrespectful, but I don't think it's anything that they haven't heard. I gotta say, I did notice on Twitter and stuff, Erika was getting a bunch of backlash about this and about, talking like this in front of the kids. And I might be on my own here, but I thought Erika was kind of the voice of reason here. It is a little naive to think that the women wouldn't talk like that. That's just how they talk. That's what we watch for. I mean, I don't really care about the kids, so I want to see these women get drunk and talk crazy. So I do think it's a little naive just to think it's going to be a, pizza party where it's all PG. So Denise says, I just didn't want them to hear it from mom and mom's friend, and I'll be more mindful of them being in earshot. And then there's Teddi. Oh, Teddi. Can we please get rid of Teddi? She says, the worst kind of judgmental person are the ones that pretend that they're not judgmental. Like they're so cool, laid back. I'm not judging, but actually I'm judging you even more and figuring out how to judge you in a casual way. Okay, Teddi, isn't that exactly what you did with your stupid invite to your retreat? You acted like you were all cool about it, and then you kept getting weirder and weirder about it. Dinner ends and everybody goes to bed. Kyle and Teddi stay up and talk. I don't know. These two are just not my favorite on the show. They make jokes about going off to bed together. Kyle says it's all passive-aggressive stuff that the ladies were talking about. Teddi says they're all fake-ass bitches. I would say Kyle and Teddi would be at the top of that list. The next morning, Rinna makes some strong coffee. Teddi goes for a run. They sit down to have breakfast together, and Rinna explains it's been bubbling under the surface, all this emotion. And to Kyle, she says, you started with the "you guys are being fake" comment. If anyone has a problem with anyone, let's just quit pussyfooting around it and get it out. Dorit brings up Kyle, when you said you're not as good of friends with Erika as you think. That's a strong and hurtful thing to say. Kyle says, in the moment, I was upset, but I feel like everyone was coming at me like best friend situation. Erika says, but I don't have any friends, remember? That's what you told me. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Wow, I am loving Erika this season, and I thought that was a great clapback. Kyle tries to play it off like she was just saying something because she was upset. And then Teddi, of course, has to chime in. She says, when you bring me into the conversation, you consistently shade me. I don't need to be dragged into something that doesn't involve me unless you really dislike me and want to keep putting me down. And Dorit has one of my favorite lines of the episode. She looks at the camera and says, how can I keep Teddi's name out of it when she inserts herself into my things all the time? And I thought, whoa, way to have clarity, Dorit. Kyle asks if anyone else has anything they'd like to share. Rinna says she doesn't feel comfortable about the conversation that went down last night. And to Denise says, I feel like you shut us down by saying we're not going to talk about the kids. Denise says, well, no, I know moving forward that they won't be within earshot of this group. Rinna says, I feel like you're using the kids to make us feel bad. And I do agree with that. I mean, they keep showing clips of Sammy not really being that bothered. I understand that Denise is trying to protect him, but it is a little weird that we're dragging this out so much. Denise says, I'm not a judgmental person, and Erika said it felt a little judgy. Rinna says, you're being contradictory, and Erika says, you can't talk about happy endings and big penises and infer that we're bad moms. And then Rinna says, you can't be a hypocrite about that. Do you talk about the hookers around your kids? The hookers that Charlie brings around? Ooh, wow, that's, she went there. Denise says, privately, I've had private conversations about them. And then the ladies talk about all the things that her kids have been around because of Charlie. Denise says, so then that's a free pass because of all the things that they've been exposed to? So I thought that was pretty good defense, actually. She's right. So Erika says, to me, what we did is low on the totem pole. And Denise said, everyone can have their opinion. Kyle says to camera, you're living in denial, Denise, and that's my opinion. And to Kyle, I'd say, you're the villain this season, and Teddi is a snooze, and that's my opinion. So the episode ends with them sitting around the table. Garcelle, we see the next week's episode. Looks like Garcelle's getting honored. Denise at dinner with Aaron. Kyle has a kids party. Teddi brings up that Denise did not bring the kids. Denise gets super angry, and she and Aaron leave the party. So that should be a great episode. I'm really looking forward to it. So that's been my Real Housewives of Beverly Hills recap. Be sure to check out my Real Housewives of New York and my Below Deck recaps, as well as my Fleabag recaps. And if there's any other shows you want to talk about, let me know in the comments. I'm on Twitter. I'm at Real Recaps. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.